Diane, and we are the Soul Evolution Collaborative. And this is Strip Down Sunday, where we unchurch your Sunday experience. And so we're thrilled to have this time with you and to offer some inspiration and some spiritual upliftment, and hopefully maybe a new take on this thing we call life from a Soul Evolution Collaborative perspective. And so we have stripped down this Sunday morning, offering you a streamlined experience that hopefully fits your needs in this moment. And so we really have a strong desire to bring this updated message to the world, and at a time where I think we all need it the most and our world needs it the most. And so the Soul Evolution Collaborative is dedicated to personal transformation and communal evolution, and the transformative effect that both of those things have on our experience and our world. And so 2 really quick logistics before we jump in today. 1, everything you could possibly know about this community and more can be found on our website, soulevolutioncollaborative.org. Feel free to open that up and explore and poke around there, and hope you enjoy some of the things that are on there now, and know that we are continuing to add new events, new educational pieces, and new little tidbits on that website for you to enjoy. And so number 2, it's communities like ours that bring that really have this desire to bring change to our world. And so we're actively creating a new earth and new ways of being, new ways of looking at life, new ways of interacting with ourselves and with others. And so if you're in any way able to help continue this mission, this ministry, we gratefully welcome any of your support, whether it's your attendance, whether it's your financial support. We welcome all of that. And so donations can be made at www.soulevolutioncollaborative.org. And let's jump in for our topic for today. So this month we have been talking about happiness. And so when I was thinking about happiness, I thought about this idea of kind of what we've all been fed about what happiness means and whatnot. So kind of the subtitle of my little rant or talk today is happiness, some things I wish I had known sooner. And I think that it's important to look at those things. It's important to look at kind of the idea of what happiness kind of has been expressed to us, and to really take a second look at that and reflect on if this idea of happiness is even something that we buy into anymore. And so it's interesting. I have this thing on my desk, and it is a quote, and it's from Omar Khayyam, and it says, "Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life." And so every day I look at this, and every day this kind of speaks to me of what this idea of happiness is. And so happiness, by definition, is a mental or emotional state of well-being characterized by positive or pleasant emotions, ranging from contentment to intense joy. Now, that's not my definition. That is good old Webster's definition. But what's really interesting about the definition is happiness is a mental state or an emotional state. So it means happiness can be a thought, or it can be a feeling that we feel in our body. So what we know about thoughts and what we know about feelings is that they are things that come and go. We don't have a constant one thought all the time, and we don't have a constant one emotion all the time. It's impossible. So this idea, I think, that we have been fed, whether it's by our upbringing or just society in general with everything we're inundated with, is this idea that we always have to be happy. And, sometimes we actually have this idea when we show up in spiritual communities, this perception that if I'm not happy, then I'm not doing life right. Or if I'm not happy, then I'm not doing the spiritual path right, or I'm not spiritual enough. So this idea that happiness is this perpetual state of being, this perpetual framework, just isn't true, because it's not possible. It's not possible to always be happy, nor do I think it's the goal. And I know that that may be a really radical idea, but I don't believe that happiness is the goal. I don't believe that perpetual thoughts of happiness are the goal. I don't believe this perpetual feeling of happiness is the goal. Because what we know about emotions and what we've talked about so far this month is that we have so many emotions that make up our experience: sadness, happiness, fear, anger, disappointment, embarrassment, curiosity. All these things are emotions. These are things that we feel in our body. And our experience of life is made up of these emotions, these varying ways of responding to our external and our internal world. And so, if we have set happiness, of being happy, as the goal all the time, then we have already set ourselves up for failure and for disappointment. And man, I wish I had known that sooner. I think for a lot of my life, I have operated in this idea that happiness was the goal. And so I'm sure I'm not the only one that, so I sought out things or people or experience or external things in order to continually have that emotion of happiness. And so when that feeling went away, then it was just on to the next thing that I could feel that emotion. And so you see that this is exhausting, and it is exhausting. We I think we experience that on a day-to-day basis when we go from one thing to another to perpetuate this feeling of happiness. It is exhausting. And so I wonder, what if we let go of happiness as the goal? What if we let go of this idea that we always have to be happy? Then what would we be open to experiencing? What then is the goal? If we've let go of this idea of happiness as the goal, this idea, this kind of bar that's been given to us as the ideal experience, then what's left? And for me, I know we talk about Brene Brown's work, but I think for me, what really struck me was this idea that she found about wholehearted living. And so living this from this space, like, what does it look like? And so, when I was reading about some of her research and what she saw, what she found in people that were really living this experience, really just kind of squeezing the juice out of life and really just showing up in this space, not this space of always being happy, but this space of wholeheartedness, of showing up, giving everything to life, and therefore getting everything from life. And so she really highlighted 10 guideposts. So these are 10 like kind of characteristics, 10, I don't know, goals, if you will, if you're a goal oriented person and that makes you happy, and sometimes that makes me happy. These 10 things to really kind of look at and kind of cultivate in our life. And so I just want to briefly highlight on them because I think that they're super important and can be really beneficial in this conversation of letting go of happiness as a goal and then stepping into something else, a new way of seeing things, this more holistic way. In Science of Mind, we talk about this wholeness of understanding that we live in this universe that is the totality of our experience. It is the oneness, it is the wholeness of who and what we are. So how do we actually step into that? How do we actually live from that space? Not just from our knowledge of wholeness, but I don't know, from a cellular level. How do we live out that wholeness from our very bones? And for me, I think it is in looking at these 10 guideposts in wholehearted living. So guidepost number 1 is cultivating authenticity. Whew. Yeah, let's just breathe on that one for a little bit because that's a hard one, isn't it? It's letting go of what people think. It's letting go of how I think I should show up. It's letting go of trying to put on a certain face in order to fit in or in order for someone to think something about me. It's letting go of that. So cultivating authenticity. Now notice the language cultivating. Cultivating means like this continual, kind of like when you're cultivating soil. It's this continuing turning over, continuing examination, continuing removing what is not needed and continuing to add what is needed. So this idea of cultivating authenticity, this work of allowing ourselves to be who we are, to show up just as we are. And sometimes that's not happy. Sometimes that's sad. Sometimes that's angry. Sometimes that's fearful. And that's okay. That the more that we look at those things, those emotions from an authentic space, the more that we can feel them and move through them and with them. And then we can show up authentically to life, show up as we are, not with the baggage of what we should be, but with the reality and the freeness of who we are. And so that goes into the second guidepost that she talks about, which is cultivating self-compassion. Now, notice the language of cultivating again. This is not an overnight deal. This is just this constant turning over. Cultivating self-compassion, letting go of perfectionism. And how often have we thought about, if I do it this way, or if I do the right thing, do this right thing, do that right thing, then I'll be happy, then I'll make others happy, then I'll have a happy life. And so really letting go of this idea of perfectionism and cultivating self-compassion, cultivating this idea that, yeah, sometimes I'm not always happy, and that's okay. That I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't, not done the right thing. I haven't not been spiritual enough, but just cultivating this understanding, this appreciation of ourselves, and this appreciation of the totality of our emotions, the totality of our experience. Number 3, cultivating a resilient spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. Now, how often do we do that when we're in a space of feeling emotions that maybe aren't the most comfortable thing we want to feel? Who wants to feel fearful? Who wants to feel anxious? Who wants to feel sadness? We don't. So we naturally want to feel the things that make us feel good. And so sometimes what we do, instead of allowing those expressions, those emotions to kind of sit with us and really reflect on them, we want to get rid of them as soon as possible. So we begin to numb because we don't want to feel blank. And so this idea of cultivating wholeheartedness, cultivating this wholeness, living from the space of wholeness, is the willingness to sit in the discomfort, the willingness to know that these experiences are experiences, that they're not things that last forever, but instead they are things that happen as a reaction to our experiences, and to allow ourselves to feel them. We can learn from them and flow through them more easily. And so know that the more that we try to resist and the more that we try to numb those, they don't go away. They just show up again on the doorstep at a later date. And so the more that we can feel them and be open and honest with ourselves, the more that we can live from this space of wholeness. The fourth guidepost is cultivating gratitude and joy, letting go of scarcity and fear. And so this cultivating this attitude of looking at all of our experiences with this feeling of gratitude. And I know that that's really hard in the moment. And let me tell you, there have been moments where I'm like, no, there's no way I can feel gratitude for this moment. And so gratitude doesn't always look like this, oh my God, I'm so thankful for this challenging thing that's happened in my life. Yay. Gratitude sometimes looks like, this is a challenging experience. I'm going to allow myself to sit in this experience and see what I have to learn from it. Sometimes gratitude is just the hint of that. And so being willing to step into those spaces that are fearful, step into those spaces that are uncomfortable, sometimes can be like the toe into that ocean of gratitude. Cultivating intuition and trusting faith, letting go of our need for certainty. Wow, this is a hard one. Don't we want to, if I can just kind of create this perfect little certain experience, then I'll be happy. Or if I can just map out the path to this, then I'll be happy. But really, it's this letting go of our need for certainty and trusting our intuition, trusting life, trusting that we are provided for, that we are fueled and funded and maintained and sustained by life. Cultivating creativity, letting go of comparison. Oh my God, how much is comparison sometimes the thief of joy, thief of this kind of full experience. And so when we can let go of comparing ourselves to others, like, man, they look so happy. What are they doing that I'm not doing? Really letting go of this need to compare, I think that we can step into the fullness of life. Cultivating play and rest. Oh, not taking ourselves so seriously all the time. Being able to step into those spaces that may be difficult, and maybe being able to find the playfulness and joy in those experiences. Cultivating calmness and stillness, letting go of anxiety as this lifestyle or exhaustion as this status symbol. I think sometimes we work so hard to be happy, then we're exhausted in the end and we can't enjoy life. And so, really being able to see happiness as this experience and not this framework. And I think that what becomes the framework that we're talking about is then happiness, like I said, becomes this emotion that comes in response to things of our life. But what then becomes the framework is joy, is wholeheartedness, is this deepening of our awareness of wholeness. And so joy, and like I said, joy is not this always being happy, but joy is just this showing up to life, showing up authentically. And so, I think that when we can let go of happiness as this measuring stick of our life, I don't know about you, but I can take a deep breath. Because when happiness is no longer the goal, when happiness no longer is the measuring stick of my life, then I can really live fully in the moment. I can really step into the space of the thing that sits on my desk, that I can truly be happy or be joyful in this moment, be grateful in this moment, because this moment is life. And so when we can look at that framework, then it really creates this expansion that we no longer have to hustle for this kind of this happiness fix all the time. But instead, we can appreciate, we can be grateful, we can sink into the awareness of all of our experiences and how all these experiences, all these emotions serve to deepen our awareness of our wholeness, deepen our awareness of our connection to life, our connection to the universe, the divine, our connection to one another. And so for me, I kind of wish I knew this a long time ago. It would have saved me a lot of time and a lot of suffering and a lot of angst, if you will. But the really exciting part is that I can choose to live from this space now. I can choose to let go of that old framework of happiness. You can choose to let go of this old framework of happiness and instead step into this new framework of wholeness. And you know what? I'll take that over momentary happiness any day.